Odegaard back to White. Plenty of body there. Havertz! Lead restored for Arsenal! Kai Havertz!
Good morning and welcome to episode 12 of the Grove podcast. My name is Mos, I'm your host as usual, and today I'm joined by two very sprightly looking gentlemen with a bit of a spring in their step, a smile on their face, and the Grove on their back. That'll be explained in a little while. Tabs, how are you today?
I'm very, very good, thank you. Very good.
Good, and that's nothing to do with the fact that you got to see me in person yesterday, is it?
It's always the highlight. You've ruined my highlight already. What was my highlight of the game? Was seeing you. Jeez.
And I'm also joined today by, hopefully not a sore, but a recovering Søren.
Yeah. All good, thank you. Happy
Good.
Mother's Day as well.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day. And Søren, just very quickly, people might think, why is he sore? Was he at the game and was he pounced upon by Brentford fans because he was arguing that Kai Havertz never dived and it was a penalty? No, it's because you had surgery, right? Do you want to tell us how it's going and what your recovery is looking like?
Yeah, so I had ACL reconstruction on the 29th of Feb. So just over a week now. It's going okay. First week was very painful. This week's okay. I've tapered off the more heavy painkillers, so I'm not sort of like I'm all there now. I'm not a bit crazy or wacky or drowsy. So yeah, it's going okay. Crutches are all right. It's not my first rodeo with the crutches, so it's okay. It's getting there. I'm really hoping to get back to a game in April. I'm on the ballot for Luton, and I'm also in the ballot for Villa. And I think Villa's more realistic. And who knows when that Chelsea game's going to get rearranged to, but hope to get to that one as well.
Fair play to you, by the way, because it's like the minute before you went into surgery, you were talking to us in the group chat, and then literally, I think I was working. I was working somewhere that day, and I looked at my phone again a couple hours later, and I thought, "Holy shit, this guy's just messaged us again! Like he loves the Grove. The dedication was insane." So fair play.
No, he was bored. He was bored. He had nothing to do apart from read 250 messages that completely inane.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that group chat can get a bit wild sometimes. And just another shout out to the full, the Grove itself in general. Yesterday was absolutely insane. It was just so weird. So that was the first time I've been to a Grove meetup that was as well represented as that since the podcast started. And wow, I was blown away. The amount of people that were there, the friendliness from everyone. I got to meet Alan for the first time, and I've never met Alan before. I've known him the longest out of everyone in the Grove. And then we had people like Jermaine, who was there again at another meetup, and he was like, "Look, get me into the Grove. How can I be a part of it?" I just looked over at Tabs, pointed, and said, "Yeah, I'm sorry, he's the gatekeeper." Anyway, I digress.
Do you want to cover how you got to the game? Because I think collectively 60 of us peer pressured you into going.
I was
spineless jellyfish. That's all I can say.
Oh God, I was genuinely happy enough to watch the game on TV last night, make some notes for the podcast, have an early night, go to bed at a reasonable time, wake up today, do my stuff that I usually do on a Sunday, get prepared for the week ahead, and especially because I'm coming down for Porto on Tuesday. But I was driving home and Josiah said, "Look, I've got a ticket, guys. Does anyone need one?" And in my head, I just thought, yes, I do need one, but I needed the Grove to make that dream a reality. And I think I put a poll up, and 20 of you said yes, you have to come to the game, just for a laugh. But yeah, the decision was made before that anyway, so it was brilliant.
I said no.
Yeah, you did say.
I think I was the only one that said should. I was the only one that said should I come to the game? No.
Yeah. Well, I did. I was there, so I got a train. I got a train down from Edinburgh, so I was up at 6. Well, up at 5:45. Got the train into Edinburgh at 6 a.m. Got the train from Edinburgh at 7:30. and God, I arrived down at in London. It was a long train because of engineering works and things. So I arrived into London for about 2:30, and then it was a quick dash right before full time to the tube to go back to Stansted. And I made it, as I was just saying to Tabs earlier on before you joined, Søren, I made it back as we were boarding. So yeah, fair play.
Good timing.
So
Good timing.
Well
so
done.
yeah, no, it
Well
was
done.
good. It was good. I'm glad I came as well because nothing's really better than that last kind of 5-minute winner type situations. So yeah, I guess we'll go into highlight and low light of the game, and I'll start then since you asked the question, Søren. My highlight was the travel, the the way it all happened, the way I was offered the ticket and then came down, and even where I was sat, East Stand, upper tier, not the best atmosphere at all. A couple of guys next to me and behind me hating Kai Havertz from minute one, and really negative. And one of the highlights for me was definitely the lady, a kind of an elderly couple, sat to my left, and as I was leaving, I just said bye to the lady and the gentleman to my left, and she said, "It's been unbelievable having you here. So positive, so passionate." And I thought to myself, I was like, "Oh shit, she has not listened to the podcast." So what did I tell her to do? I told her to like, share, subscribe, and comment. So no, but honestly, it's just so funny because sometimes I am quite controversial with my Arsenal opinions, and the fact she was like, "Oh, you're so positive, you're so passionate. I love that. We needed that in this area." So yeah, that was my highlight. And also when I was kind of halfway up the stairs when Kai Havertz scored, ran back down, pointed in the guy's face, and said, "Say shit now. Just say it now. Look at me in the eyes and tell me he is shit." So yeah, in terms of low light, I think we might all have the same one for Aaron Ramsdale, but yeah, we just looked like a team of old yesterday, and I believe it's because of one common denominator, and that is Aaron Ramsdale. He redeems himself potentially with some fans in the second half with a couple of really good saves. However, there's no excuse. There's no excuse at all for what you do. You're playing in arguably your biggest match of the season. This is your last game at the Emirates potentially. There's time for you to pass the ball or kick it away, and you try playing with the ball at your feet and doing something that'll endear you to the fans. I don't know what he was playing at, but yeah, I wasn't very impressed. I feel sorry for him, but at the same time, we've moved on now. We're a better team without him, and people who still think that Ramsdale's better than Raya need to get off Søren's medication, essentially. So, yeah, anyway, I feel like I'm talking for ages, but it must just be because I'm absolutely shattered. Tabs, your highlight and low light from the game.
Sure. I start with the low light. The low light was that feeling of, oh, this game's not that easy. This is quite difficult. This and we're not, X amount of goals ahead. So it was sort of remembering that feeling and that, wow, second half. Wow, the second half is flying by, and there's half an hour to go, plenty of time. 20 minutes to go, plenty of time. 10 minutes to go. I'm not so sure now. so just reconnecting that feeling was, I think, is good for us. And we're going to have to experience that a lot more. This is not going to be easy, but yeah, that was a bit of a low light. In terms of the highlight, I just love it when you see a team that time wastes, that throws themselves to the floor, that does everything to disrupt the game, and so on like that, as a tactic to win. And fair play to them. That as soon as they go behind with no time left to go, they're suddenly not falling around. They're suddenly running for stuff, suddenly getting stuff, and they don't like it when we do it back to them. And it's just such a glorious sight to see them. See the Brentford players suddenly having to speed up and get things going again after all the shenanigans that they've done throughout the game. So that was a particular highlight. Sort of reminds me of Thierry Henry against, I think it was Wigan back in the day, and shoving it in the face of, I've forgotten his name,
Chris Kirkland.
Chris Kirkland, yeah, here's the ball. Go on. Do you want to hurry up now, mate? So yeah, that was a really good highlight. That just topped the goal itself. Just made my day.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that. Was that straight after the goal or?
No. I was just referring to Wigan back in the
All
day.
right,
But
sorry, I
just
thought you said Kai Havertz had done something similar. Okay,
So
okay,
this is
sorry.
just a general feeling of Brentford suddenly having tasted
Yeah.
their own medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Søren, your highlight and lowlight of the game. I mean, you obviously watched from TV, and
On the
Tabs has
sofa,
mentioned, Tabs has
yeah,
said
yeah.
earlier that it might be a different perspective, really, if you're watching from TV.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So I was thinking obvious low light is obviously Ramsdale, but for me actually, looking at it at the time, I think we're gonna cover this a bit later, is the fact that Trossard was it was almost I don't want to say he was marked out of the game, but he really struggled to pick up possession on that left hand side where Martinelli would always be a good output. So you look at when Ramsdale threw that ball over, I think on 2 occasions. One, he was immediately caught up with, and the second time, it felt like he wasn't quite gelled with Havertz, so they sort of like fumbled over each other and we lost possession. And then it suddenly became that we didn't really have an output on the left hand side, so we were heavily reliant on the right. And I think I might have said yesterday that it felt like Saka wasn't really protected by us that much, and when he was, we scored 2 goals with Ben White. And prior to that, it was, I was watching. I was saying to my wife, and obviously she didn't care, but I was saying, "There's got 3 guys on him. He couldn't get the ball in. It's ridiculous." So I'd say so. Low light was the fact that we were quite heavily right on the right. Highlight, slightly different approach. Obviously, it was a great game in the end, and we were all quite apprehensive. I was very apprehensive about this game. I felt like I remember yesterday, Tabs in our group chat was saying, confidence versus complacence. I was really worried about this game because I just thought Brentford, they were such hard work last year, and they were hard work this year. But it was the fact that we had to play 2 halves of low block football. So obviously, we played the first half. We unlocked the game with that goal from Declan Rice, and the game changed. Suddenly, we had a lot more chances. Brentford were no longer sort of sitting back as much; they had to open up. Then we conceded that stupid goal, but it meant in the second half we had to break them down again, which is perfect preparation for future games, because we've been so confident. We haven't had that feeling like you just mentioned of, oh my god, it's 10 minutes to go, we need to get a winner in such a long time. And also looking ahead to even Porto, we really got to break them down. So those are my low light and highlights.
brilliant, and great analysis from watching from the couch. Søren, when listening to you there, sorry, and this is so off topic, but listening to you there, I could listen to you talk about like football for ages, and that's a good thing, by the way.
I've
got to
tell my wife that she's like, oh, you have a shut up.
I don't care.
Tabs,
No,
I could do with a break, to be honest, from you. So no, I'm kidding. I shouldn't say that because you're not on the next episode. Oh no! Right, pre-warning.
Anyway,
Tabs is not on the next episode because he's away.
Back to the game.
Yeah, back to the game.
Yeah, back to the game.
I'm sorry.
On that point on Trossard, I made a note. It's a really odd one. So when he starts out on the left, he never seems to get in the game. He wants to come inside a lot more, and so we lose that outlet for two reasons: one, the width, and two, the pace. So it's really bizarre. But however, when he comes on that position as a sub, he seems to do well. I think he did it against Liverpool. He came on as a sub and made a difference. So it's a really strange thing that when he starts out wide, he never has the same effect as when he comes on as a sub out wide. Now maybe that's because maybe because Nelly's tired out the defense and set it up for him. Don't know. He's definitely much better. It seems to be as the false 9 and seems to connect better with Havertz when it's the false 9 and Havertz drops into the middle. So it's a really bizarre one. I don't quite get it, but it just doesn't. Yeah, it's strange.
Could it potentially be the lack of consistent minutes that he's getting, and the lack of game time that he's
well, no, because if he comes on as a sub and plays well in that position, it always seems to be when he starts. I think it's happened a few times. It's just a strange way. It's hard to explain. I mean, and I just think in general, yesterday, just him and Ramsdale, really, it was just a very subtle impact on how we played and compared to recently. You could just notice that players weren't in the same places as they have been in the past, or there's a bit of hesitancy or uncertainty, particularly around the positioning. And it's sort of we still played well, we still did did really good, and we were still dominant and did all good Arsenal stuff. But you just noticed it was just slightly off. It wasn't. Yeah, it's just slightly off throughout the game, and I think that didn't help in terms of the general feel and confidence, and just the way the game progressed. It was an odd one. It felt comfortable, but you just could sense something wasn't the same.
For me, Trossard in the first half had a couple of good moments where he, kind of skinned a player or nutmegged a player or whatever, but then felt like there was no end product. Like he would do that and then he wouldn't do anything else. He would maybe pass the ball off and not move into a channel or whatever. So it's interesting that we all picked up on that, because I just felt if Martinelli was playing, we potentially would have, after scoring the first goal, potentially would have maybe scored again. I'm just glad we scored when we did, to be honest. If you think about the goal we conceded, if you forget about that for a second, I'm just glad that we scored when we did, and it was a great goal from Declan Rice, who, it's just what a player he is for us and how important he is. In terms of, so I just wanted to in terms of Brentford and how they played, Ivan Toney's a handful, but he's also a bit of a prick, isn't he? Like he's one of those players that you would love to have in your team, but you also would hate to have in your team. And I think it's so telling that, with all the links that we've had to Ivan Toney and potential, rumours of us signing him, it was telling that Mikel Arteta post-match had went over and just brushed past him, like gave him a quick high five, and Toney kind of went in for the awkward hug, and Arteta was trying to walk away, and Tony's arm was round him, and it was,
I noticed that.
It was quite telling almost that, Arteta, he was basically grafting with Declan Rice for multiple games after we played West Ham, whereas with Toney, it's just I don't think it'll happen. But he is a handful. He had apart from the header that they had, the free header, was it Collins that had the free header? They never had huge chances. The Ivan Toney shot from like 35, 40 yards out was speculative. Good attempt. It was on target, but Aaron Ramsdale did well to kind of palm it out for a corner. And fair play to Ramsdale for that one, because it could have went anywhere if he, as soon as he palmed it. But Ivan Toney was just a handful. The full games, I was quite in line with like the line of defence in the first half, and it just seems like Saliba and Gabriel could not cope.
You think? I don't know. I think compared to last year, we handled them much better, and he had nothing. Okay, he had that one speculative shot, but what else did he do? And look, that's how Brentford play. So for me, Frank seems to spend his whole year focusing on how to play Arsenal at the Emirates, and he set them up brilliantly, just the way he did. So they did a really, really good job. They seemed to find our weaknesses. They did a number. They would frustrate us, physical, and it was all about long balls over the top, first ball, second ball, win your duels, and so on. But actually, I think Gabriel and Saliba. I think compared to last year when Toney really caused Saliba trouble, this year I don't think it was that much. And also I think Toney also was focusing more on Gabriel than Saliba. He said, "Well, I'm not getting any change out of Saliba. I'm going to move over to Gabriel." And I was a bit concerned because Gabriel got that yellow early on. I thought, the whole 70 minutes of whatever having to deal with Toney or whatever. You never know. We need him for City, and that was a bit nervy. But he's a handful. But I don't think he created anything. He had any chances. So I just think I think we handled it. I think we handled it fine. But they just set out to frustrate us. They had all the dark arts, did everything. But that was it. That was their game. Long ball. They basically Brentford were a moments team yesterday. They were like the Ramsdale goal was a moment. The Toney thing was a moment. They were just looking to take advantage of something. There was no constructive play. It was just moments, and I think in the main we dealt with those moments.
I guess what I mean by that though is aerially, for example, a lot of the, maybe we're just not used to it because Toney is quite strong, physical, and quite good aerially as well. He was winning his fair share of headers and duels in the air when the goal kicks were taken.
Yeah,
and maybe we're just not used to it because we've been hammering teams. and it was almost like a, you know, like almost a worry, if you like, that, we've our performance wasn't the best. But like you say, Tabs, it's Brentford. They prepare to beat or play against Arsenal twice a season.
I felt like we could have been a bit better disciplined. This is coming back to my, I had that apprehension ahead of the game. I felt like if we, wrote down a list of things we need to be prepared for, shithousery from Tony, them trying to get Gabriel booked, all this sort of thing, we should have known better. And Gabriel didn't he get booked because he was talking back to the referee, not because of the actual what happened on the pitch. And I felt like, I know we can say that the ref lost the game. Maybe we'll cover that in a second. But if we look at ourselves, we can't control that factor. I think there was times where we could have been better disciplined, maybe with Kai. Don't know what that dive was about at the end. Gabriel certainly.
It wasn't a dive. It wasn't a dive, mate. We'll come to that.
Yes, whatever it was. But I think we could have been better disciplined. We should have prepared better. Pat Rice always used to say, if you fail to prepare, then prepare to fail. And I felt like yesterday we could have had a very different evening. We could have walked away with a really disappointing draw if we didn't take our chances.
Yeah, on that point though, Søren, I really do think it comes down to a common denominator, like I said earlier, with Aaron Ramsdale being in net. There was a few times in the first half, which I'm sure you guys both noticed, that when Aaron Ramsdale had the ball and caught it from a cross or whatever. And you know what? Fair play. He deserves some credit for claiming, most if not all of the crosses that he could. He did pretty well in that regard. And in the first half, he also did pretty well in the regard of getting the ball out. It's just that his throws and his kicks weren't as accurate as David Raya. And there was one moment where he kicked it. I think it was Trossard who was in acres of space. He kicked it, and the kick went kind of like a standard kick out, and not one that went high and then dropped. And you could even see him looking over at Arteta or the goalkeeping coach or whatever on the bench, and he made that motion with his hand, like the kind of parabolic curve motion, saying that's what I intended to do. I didn't just want to kick it out for a goal kick for Brentford. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like we talk about David Raya and Aaron Ramsdale almost every week on this podcast, and Charles and Ben and Jamie were there quite early at the Horatia with myself, and we were just chatting about, if we sell Ramsdale, we need to find a solid number 2, because there's going to be games where Raya won't play, obviously. So we need to find a solid backup who also plays in this similar way, and I don't really know if I can think of any that would. So would I be gutted if we had Ramsdale again at the start of the season? Probably not.
Get Turner back in when Forest go down.
Or get Flick in when Brentford hopefully go down as well.
No, he's terrible as well.
Yeah.
But just back on the game and in general, in a way, look, we found a way to win, and I think that's the positive here. We found a way to win. It can't always be free-flowing champagne football. We're going to come up against these different styles, and I think this is good for us. In a way, we have to go through these moments if we want to be serious about winning the league. We have to find moments. This is the first bit of adversity we've had to face all year recently, and it was good to see how we react, and then that gives us better belief longer. So I even though it was a bit painful at the time, I think we learn a lot more from this than another 4-0, 5-0 drubbing and things like that. So I'm all for the fact that we dealt with the mistakes, dealt with the issues, and got the result. So I think we bin it, we forget about it, we learn from it, and move on.
Yeah, and move on indeed. But in terms of team selection then, guys, and Tabs has a little screenshot of the league table up, and I'm getting a bit giddy, especially because later on today Liverpool play Man City. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a wee while, and what result we would like. God, it just looks so good, doesn't it? It's like the elephant's back at the top of the table. The elephant's back at the top of the tree, sorry. In terms of team selection, I was pleasantly surprised to see Jorginho keep his place. I really think he deserves it. And I was talking to a few guys at the airport just saying, look, I really don't see Jorginho getting dropped for even games against like City and things. I think now I can finally see why he finished third in the Ballon d'Or that time. He was what a player he is becoming for us.
What game he had yesterday?
Yeah. So I wasn't surprised to see him start. What I was kind of surprised about was Leo. I thought maybe Gabriel Jesus would have started the game, even though he didn't he didn't really impress against Sheffield United. I thought potentially it was a game for Gabriel Jesus, and then the only thing with that is you have to then find space for Havertz, and do they both then generally drift into the same positions and that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, we've spoken about obviously Leo, but in terms of the other players, the players who made huge contributions, Kai Havertz was fantastic, and I've seen stats. I'm sure, Tabs, you've prepared your notes as usual, which was amazing so early on in the morning. But yeah, I've seen stats that Kai Havertz essentially has scored seven Premier League goals now this season, and he also had a massive say in both games against Brentford, right? Because he was the one that scored in the return fixture as well. So I was really impressed, really impressed with him. Let's just get one thing out of the way: the dive or not a dive. Søren, what was your thoughts on that from a TV perspective?
From a TV perspective, I suppose it's hard to argue that it wasn't. But then one thing I noticed in the coverage and also Match Today is we seem to be watching this always in slow motion on TV, and I don't know if that's the like sporting director that's got over the coverage is doing that. I just felt like it doesn't do it justice in the same way that Trossard got hauled down. You guys were at the game, right? So you probably thought, yeah, definite pen. When you saw it on TV, it was all, we never saw it in full, apart from when it happened, we never saw it at full speed. We only ever saw it in slow motion. So you thought, yeah, a bit of a tussle. And I just thought that's not the way to do it. So for me, yeah, it probably was a dive, but it happens, doesn't it? I wouldn't have done it if I was him because I was on a yellow, but that's the discipline.
And also, Søren, you've just had surgery, so I don't think you would have done it.
Yeah, crutches would have got in the way. But no, I think they showed it on Match today. The angle that the referee had, there was two players in the way, he couldn't see it. It looked fast enough that there could have been contact. Yes, on review, the linesman, would he give that? That's very hard for him to give that, unless you're 100% certain, given the fact. And also, everything that happens in a box doesn't necessarily have to be either a penalty or a dive. There can be just contact or just something. He may be evading a tackle, which is that a dive? If you evade a tackle and fall over, is that a dive? You're deliberately getting out of the way. I don't know. I would red tinted glances, then I'll give him benefit of the doubt. Otherwise, I can see why they would have a case and be annoyed, but I can see why it wasn't given. But look, for me, he was man of the match. He was great. He is such an Arteta player. What he offers in terms of his variation up front, in midfield, the height, the strength. He is very much part of the reason why we won our first 8 games of the season, and just on that point, first 8 games of the calendar year, and on that point, the last 3 teams to have done that all went on to win the Premier League, went on to win the league. So I think City, Man United, and Liverpool. So if the stats are to continue, then put your money on red to win.
Yeah, but Tabs, just to temper expectations, because I know someone who's in the world who's listened to this podcast will say, "Oh my God, we're going to win the league." But let's not forget the stats last year was like, "Oh, teams who are top at this stage always win the league."
I know.
And then it's like, apart from Arsenal last season, who failed to win the league. So
all right, are we going to be the exception to the norm? But he's so good, and I think you said since Brentford away, he scored 7 Premier League goals, which is the same as Saka, who's had 2 penalties. He's got in the last 4 games, I think he's had 4 goals, 2 assists. He is. So to the people that you were with, I don't know. Some people will just have their biases, and you can't change it. For me, he is so important. One of the first names in the team sheet now, and I really like him. I really do. He's excellent.
I'm going
man of the match.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of defend him here, right? As Søren said, and we're still talking about this dive, but I just want to defend him for 10 seconds. Watch the video back in slow motion. There is a time. There is a very slight thigh-on-thigh contact with the part of Kai's 9 on his shorts. You will see that there's a very, very small bit of contact. So I'm sorry, but if you're running at that speed and you feel something as a footballer, you will go down. And as Tab said, not everything has to be a penalty, not everything has to be a dive, but potentially Kai felt contact. I think everyone's thinking it was the feet, but if it was the thigh, then Um, and whilst we're on the topic of penalties not given and penalties given and etc., Trossard, that was a stonewall penalty. And Søren, you mentioned it and said, "Oh, you don't know how what we thought," but you don't really see it in the game. You only see it once. You don't see a replay, and then you find out there's a VAR check, and you think, okay, there's something in this here. What the hell Paul Tierney was going through in his mind when that penalty wasn't given is beyond me. I mean, what
the man
justification
that gives the Cedric against Son push 2 years ago, and that's a penalty, with the slightest of touches. But hey, haul someone down in the box around the neck? No, that's never a penalty. It's like, jeez, I don't know what they see. This is the thing, and I really hate this. The bar somehow is higher in the penalty area than outside. And why? A foul is a foul. Doesn't matter. That happens outside the box, general play. You're getting a free kick all the time. So why not? It doesn't matter whether he might not have got the ball. That's a free kick. It's just like, I don't know about the Gabriel one. I didn't see that one so closely, but this, it's like, and it happened to us against Newcastle. I don't know. It's like, yeah, I don't get it. And we've seen loads of penalties given for much softer things. Like Haaland against Man United. Away when he just brushes the player and falls over in the wrong direction, even though he falls forward, even though he's getting pulled back. Don't get it. So why is it frustrates the hell out of me. And so it would have been a moot point about the Havertz thing because that wouldn't have happened. We would have had the penalty and would have been 2-0, 2-1 up. I can't remember when it happened, but yeah. Anyway, and I don't get this demoting. If you've done a crap job, hey, let's put you in VAR. So what? VAR is not as important as being a referee on the field. How is that a demotion?
I think they were trying to make it like a point that he wasn't actually demoted, though. And
he should have been because
it was awful.
But he should have been because he blatantly made a terrible decision against Liverpool. So I don't know.
It's tough though. That Liverpool game though, I felt like he had a really good game until that moment. I was thinking, this is quality. Love to have him in our next game.
Well,
do you know the referee lost control of the game very early on. I feel when we were in the stadium, there was a lot of time wasting and dark arts from the Brentford players in terms of how long they took for everything. Even I think it was the 16th minute or something when I looked up and I thought, are they really wasting time already? And it was so funny watching Odegaard come off and hand the captain's armband to Gabby Jesus. Right at the end of the game, and it was like, you waste our time, we'll fucking waste yours now, basically. So
Jesus is running away from Odegaard. Let me catch you. Because there was that throw in. There was that throw in where they took forever, and he's watching them. It's like, Tomiyasu got a yellow card early in the season, and then got sent off. So they're watching. The referee's just like going, "Oh, it's fine," So basically, what's happened to them?
I think we're both talking about the same one where it was like they passed it to another player and then they decided to take a short one and then no, in fact I want to take a long one. All the players run into the box and it was really, really, really poor from the referee. The referee.
What about that throwing in the first half? Was it Ben White? We took a quick throw and our player was it first half, second half? Second half. Took a quick throw. Our player was free. The referee pulled it back for not being in the right position, and then Ben White took it again, and he took it further forward than from when he was pulled back from.
So this is the thing. Referees can lose control of the game very early on, and sometimes I think with 60,000 fans on your back, does that really help our case? Because we're always told in Sunday League, be nice to the ref because you'll get the decisions your own way. So, whether there's 60,000 fans calling him the C word and saying that you're just a scouser, who's a scouser in the middle or whatever we were chanting yesterday, I guess that might kind of play a part. Anyway, moving on from referee decisions and really poor decisions where we don't get penalties or, things like that. I just wanted to say a massive thanks first off to Normie for being the stat man as usual, the commander-in-chief for the stats. So he just messaged me to say, look, I'm not sure if it's too late, but just a quick pod and interception from the stat man. Ben White has as many Premier League assists for Arsenal as Nicolas Pepe with 9.
I thought you were going to say Anelka for a second.
No. That'd be amazing. Arsenal have scored the most headed goals in the Premier League this season with 16, and Brentford have conceded the most headed goals in the Premier League this season with 17. I think we did touch upon that, didn't we? But thank you, Normie, for those stats. And in terms of Ben White, wow, not only the 2 assists, but the synchronised fist pump as well with Odegaard. I don't know if you guys managed to see that on in the rounds of social media this morning. That was hilarious. But yeah, he's turning into a player that we can not only rely on for 50 games a season, but also just rely on every single game. He's given us 7.5 out of 10, like consistently performing at high standards to the point where you think if he's not in the squad for the Euros and Southgate isn't thinking about a Ben White, Bukayo Saka right hand side, then on your head be it.
He wants to
I'm
really
pleased
wound
he's
up
not in England team.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pleased for him. I'm pleased he's not there because he rests and he's for us. I don't. Yeah, I don't know how bothered he is. Who knows? But yeah, I'm happy for that. And I'm sure there'd have been some shithousery yesterday. I didn't see it, but I'm sure he did it. So that's always a bonus from Benny Blanco. And what I also liked is that when Saka was getting doubled up, he would always be free and there would always be an outlet either overlapping or inside. You particularly saw that for the first goal. So yeah, you're right. He's just consistently good. You know what you're going to get, and he's a funny bloke as well.
Yeah, he does deserve his flowers for yesterday, and what a week for him. 2 assists and then obviously a goal against Sheffield United as well. So fair play. He's having he's in the form of his life, you could argue. So most players are. And in terms of our subs, I felt like throwing Reece Nelson on was like a bit of a Hail Mary. Kind of this time last year we had the new Reece Nelson wonder goal against Bournemouth. So did Arteta maybe have it in the back of his mind? But he did have a couple of moments where he was really running at the defence and did a couple of good things, but there was just no end product. I think Reece Nelson is one of the players that potentially needs more game time rather than just 15 minutes here and there. I don't know who I would have brought on instead. I'm glad he never put Nketiah on or Smith Rowe, to be honest. I think that would have killed the game completely.
I think we just needed some pace. The Brentford team were tiring. There were maybe gaps there to exploit. We just needed something different, some pace there. Yeah. We weren't getting Leah wasn't getting any change out of the team, and also because we brought on Jesus and maybe then Havertz dropped back into midfield, so then we needed a bit more. We needed something different, and also the fact that Zinchenko came on at the same time, so then he was going to have more control, so he would be pushing up. So we would have, if we'd have kept Leo on, we would have had too many similar style players trying to take up the same place or do the same thing. So we just needed to offer something different. Bring Nelson on. And I think it worked. He did well.
Yeah, and it was quite nice from Arteta's point of view to see him put Zinchenko on after 10 minutes of Jorginho coming off, because I felt like we were losing a little bit of that midfield battle, especially with when Neil Mope or Maupe, however, don't take the Mickey again, Tabs, today, please. But that shithouse, that shithouse, really, really bad footballer who just thinks winding people up gets you 3 points and survival from the Premier League. Yeah, when he came on, I just felt like we needed a little bit more calmness and collectiveness in the midfield. So Zinchenko did bring that. So fair play. It was quite nice to see Zinchenko back as well, I guess, on the team sheet. Where the hell is Tomiyasu though? Can we please just ask where the hell he played
was he
for?
On the bench? I think it wasn't.
No. He played for Japan in the Asia Cup, and then he's just disappeared since.
I think he went there injured, come back injured. I think we're just being more careful. We're not rushing players back. We don't need to rush players back. We're not. It's fine. We're one injury away from it not being fine. We're one injury away from a Cedric. But yeah, what can you do? I'm sure he's frustrated. Everyone's frustrated. So he'll be back.
I think if
we got an international, we got 2 weeks international break now. 3 weeks even for him. So.
Yeah, but touch wood, if there was an injury, I would seem to think Arteta would rush back, the likes of Tomiyasu potentially, depending on how far they are, as opposed to playing Cedric. I don't know if Arteta would do that.
We're not at that stage of the season yet, and now we've got a 3-week break, and even now with Partey getting fit again, maybe reverse to that, who knows? I think we cross that bridge when we come to it. At the moment, Ben is going to be tanning himself now for the next 3 weeks, so he'll come back.
Are the squad off to Dubai? Is there any talk?
No, I think he'll just do it himself. because
Oh, okay. But there's no talk of the squad,
no,
going over to Dubai because it's 3 weeks
no,
is a very long time.
no, because it's international break and stuff, so just
Yeah, but
the
still,
usual
there's
stuff.
going to be players in Arsenal who aren't, quite a lot of players who aren't in with the
No,
respective teams. So
maybe.
I just wonder if he'll take the fringe players or what they'll do. I mean, maybe we'll see them, go karting in the indoor karting centre in Ealing or something, or I don't know. I don't know what they do during the
Whatever it is,
international break.
he'll be bronzer than he is now.
Yeah.
There we go.
It'll be like a statue, from outside the ground almost, that colour. In terms of the goals that we scored then, so there's three of us, there was 3 goals, so Søren, as the guest on today's pod, I'll let you go first and you can talk about the Rice goal. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, it was really interesting to see Rice in that position to get the header. That was really positive for me, and I think that's reflective of the fact that Jorginho is on the pitch, so he can afford to get forward in that position. If we're playing, I don't know about Partey, it's been so long since I've seen him, but if we're playing Rice as number 6, he's not there to get that header, and we just don't have that sort of innovation in the box. So it was really good to see. I really liked that Ben White was whipping balls in like that, as opposed to, normally he just will always bomb down and try and cut back, and it might lead to a corner, which is usually really good for us anyway. But I liked that he was able to have the outlet, and I'd probably like to see that a lot more from Zinchenko or Kivior, probably more likely Kivior going forward. I'd like to see if we can work on that so we can whip balls into the likes of Havertz and then knockdowns and other goals that we might get. And so I was really happy with that, because it's we had 2 headed goals. I won't cover the other header. That's one of your jobs. But it's a really good outlet, wasn't it? Instead of just always having to rely on the passing. So yeah, I thought it was a great goal. It was really nice to see, and it was something different. We were struggling. It was 18 minutes, I think. We scored that goal, and prior to that, I was getting a bit anxious. I was thinking, this could easily be 45 minutes, and then we haven't got a goal. So yeah, it was a great timing. I was really, really positive to see Rice in the box at the time.
I commented to the couple that were to my left that it was quite interesting that Odegaard was almost playing a little bit of a deeper role compared to Rice, and that allowed him to do that. And yeah, I mean, we've seen Declan Rice come up clutch for us a few times, especially with the
Luton,
the goal against Luton and things. So yeah, and so Tabs, I'll let you have the honour since you're going away to America, and I know you've only got about 20 minutes or so left to chat, so we will be quick. I promise we'll get you on that flight, buddy. Don't worry, okay? So I bet you're flying business class as well. You lucky son of a gun.
turning left. I'll be turning left.
Okay. So in terms of Yohan Wissa, his goal, I mean, we've spoke about it. I don't really have much more to add. It was just, should Saliba have passed it back to Ramsdale? Yes. Should Ramsdale just cleared it with one touch potentially, or even just straight away? Yes. Should he have passed it over to Gabriel? Potentially. So sorry, it was Gabriel that passed to Saliba, wasn't it? So should he have passed it to? If Gabriel passed to Ramsdale, should he have passed it to Saliba? So yeah, it was just one of those ones where you think he must have wanted the ground to swallow him up. Like it was just, and then the full second half, the Brentford fans were just singing, "You're just a shit David Raya," and it was really awful. But great to see him make a couple of really good saves afterwards. But yeah, the goal was that, listen, that ball could have ended up anywhere. It could have went over the crossbar, it could have went wide, anything. It just so happened that the nature of the game, the footballing gods thought, you know what, Aaron Ramsdale, you've had this kind of torrid time already. This is going to go in the back of the net. Let's see how you cope. And cope he did. And then Kai Havertz, you lovely, lovely, beautiful man. Tabs, take it away.
Before I do, just a couple of points in the goal. The first one, Rice, is the point of Søren was making about Rice. He's been our furthest forward player a lot of the time, and recently this freed him up. Now that we've got Jorginho, he's freed up, and it's quite often you'll see, Rice is the furthest forward, which I think is excellent. And you're right, Odegaard does drop back because that's not what Odegaard done. He's more of a late runner. And in terms of the Ramsdale goal, his feet just went set. You could see him like doing those little steps that penalty takers take. He was like trying to do that, and by the time he's got himself set, Wissa's on him and bang. So he's just got to be quicker. on that. On the Havertz, what I really liked, it was we were really pushing for the goal, trying to get the ball into box, and it breaks to Odegaard, and it was a lovely 1-2 between Ben White and Odegaard, and then Ben White just overlaps down to the byline, cross into the middle, and Havertz now was playing a little more of a deeper role, and I think this is what we expected a bit more of him from when he was playing midfield. Late run into the box, towering header, defender nowhere near it, goalkeeper no chance, even he got a head to it, and it's a cue wild celebrations. It was it was great. And I actually said to my son, I said, I think we scored too soon because we knew what was coming. There was like 10 minutes to go, but it was great. There was lots of limbs in the
How was the atmosphere at the game?
family enclosure. No, it was good. I mean, it was good. Again, there was a bit of expectancy. We're not quite complacent, but expectancy, especially after the first goal. Rice go, okay, here we go. Right, we're good. No one got on Ramsdale's back, and then it was that nervousness towards the end, and then it was limbs. There were children flying everywhere in the family enclosure. It was great.
I hope your son was okay.
No, he's under 10s.
The atmosphere looked and sounded unbelievable from where I was sat, because you get almost like a 360-degree view of it, and like North London forever was the loudest it's ever been. I can certainly remember, and it was just brilliant. And a half-five kickoff on a Saturday, it's always bouncing, right? So, and I'm pretty sure Arteta in his post-match press conference as well said, "Look, bring your fucking dinner against Porto because we're all going to need it." Or words to that effect. But yeah, so let's just quickly talk about Porto preview then, and what this result means for Porto then, Tab. Since you're on a tight schedule, we won't keep you long. If you have to go, then
That's
just
fine.
say goodbye to us, and if the taxi arrives and you need to go. But I mean, just to quickly wrap up like the Brentford game, right? A win like that is a really good piece of momentum going into Porto, because we're 1-0 down. We need something to really rally us and G up the crowd. And that could have just been the perfect game yesterday to do that. If we had won another 5-0, 6-0, which we're so used to seeing, potentially the fans could have been like, oh, okay, we'll do that to Porto as well. But we now know it's not going to be as easy. And again, like we say every time we win, it's just putting the pressure on Liverpool and City. And today's game that they play later on this afternoon is going to be huge, absolutely huge. Just touching on that very, very quickly, I promised the Grove I would explain why I think a draw, a Liverpool win or City win is good for us. So obviously a draw is like the best case scenario, right? If they draw, we stay top of the league and it's in our hands. We beat City at the Etihad. We've got 9 more games left. Win them, we become champions. Fair enough, right? However, if Liverpool win, then they'll only be 2 points ahead of us, and we'll have opened up a gap on City if we beat them. So City would then potentially be 5 points below us. So that's not the worst thing in the world to have a 5-point buffer over Man City if Liverpool seem to win, and we obviously beat. There's loads of permutations here. If we beat Man City at the Etihad, and then conversely, if Man City win...
When we beat them.
When we beat them. If Man City win today against Liverpool, and then we do a job at them at the Etihad, we'll be on 67 points, and they'll be on 65 with Liverpool on 63. So really, any result doesn't really matter. The long and short of it, guys, is we need to beat City at the Etihad, simple, regardless of the result. And I just don't see Liverpool winning the league. I think they're just too, injuries and all that sort of stuff. I don't know if you guys have an opinion on this as well, but yeah, that's just, I don't really mind what result. I'm just going to enjoy the game today as a neutral and look forward to it that way. I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same. I'm sure once the game starts, I always pull towards one team or the other. I always like the underdog, but I think neutral is best. I don't know what plans are going to be like later today. Is Mother's Day, so maybe I might be eating dinner. If I miss part of the game, no sweat off my back. Like you say, any result is fine. We've done our bit yesterday.
Yeah, I just want snapped hammies and red cards. I don't care. That's all I want.
I was travelling back up with one of the guys from the Arsenal Edinburgh, and I said, I'd love Haaland and Rodri to break their legs and be out for like 3 years. And he was like, nah. He's like, maybe red cards, but not. And I was like, no, broken leg. And I felt quite bad. And then I thought, do I feel bad? It's Rodri. I don't feel bad. I want him to break his leg.
Yeah, muscle injuries are muscle. You can say muscle injuries. That's a bit better than breaking legs, I'd suggest.
Okay. Maybe not double ACL injury
and
and
actually,
stuff.
they're worse. It's actually ligament and muscle injuries that are worse for recovery in long term than a break. A break fixes and you're back. It's when you get the soft tissue stuff. That's worse. So a few soft tissue injuries, get them out for the rest of the season. A few red cards, and it's ours for the taking.
Yeah. So Porto. Now we've got, let's say, we've just under 10 minutes to talk about Porto and the blueprint on how we're going to beat them. So we need to play certainly better than we did away. We have to be a little bit more. We have to control the game to how we want it to be played. I don't think we can let the referee dictate how they play. I think they'll resort to so many time wasting tactics from early on in the game, especially with the likes of Pepe in their defence and things. Players like that will tell the others to waste time and slow the game down. The crowd will be on the referee's back if that happens, but we just can't let ourselves, the team, get drawn into that and just play our game. Because look, we know on our day we can beat anyone, right? No one's disputing that at all. And we've beat bigger teams in the last 6-7 weeks, so we should do a job against Porto, but we just need to make sure that and I guess Brentford was like the perfect preparation for a game like Porto, because it was a very similar, what we'll be getting used to on Tuesday night. So yeah, I mean, the only worry for me is, as you've written there, Tabs, is Rice, Havertz and Kivior are all on bookings. That's the only worry for me. I think they'll be clever enough, and I think obviously they'll be made aware that one more booking give you a suspension. So, and we can't have that when we go to the Bernabeu for the next round. So, yeah, I can't see anything past an Arsenal win. I really don't. I just think that we'll have Jorginho potentially keep his place in. I wonder if Kivior will be dropped for Zinchenko potentially. I don't know if that would happen. I think Arteta will want to keep it much the same, especially because look, we've got international break and things as well. So there's a chance for players to rest. The one thing that we noticed was Martinelli was on crutches yesterday, coming through the media pen, and I believe, well, from my experience, professional experience, if you have a cut on your foot with stitches and you walk on your foot, you guys know obviously your foot kind of flexes and goes into different shapes and things. So the simple answer to that is that you don't want to open up the cuts again from when you put pressure on your foot. So that'll be why he's on crutches, just to take some weight off his foot. So I don't think we have anything to be worried about. It could be a ploy maybe as well. You never know. For Man City, for example, you just never know what Arteta's got up his sleeve. So yeah, I think we'll win, and I'm just going to quickly go on as well before you guys say your piece and your prediction. I'm going to go in my prediction. I think we're going to win 4-1, and the game will then finish 4-2 in aggregate. Tabs.
Very nice. For me, the biggest challenge I think will be the emotional side of things. I mean, the crowd are going to be so up for it. We're just going to be throwing everything at this. When was the last time we were in a Champions League quarter-final? Forget Porto. Porto have the smarts. They know how to get it playing. Their form has picked up. I mean, they beat Benfica 5-0 the other day, so they're suddenly back into the title race. And domestically, they beat Benfica. So, they're not going to be any mugs. We are a better team. We should play, but we saw in the first game they can frustrate, they can play well. So, we need to be faster, more decisive, take our chances, just be more dominant. And I think we will at home. But we're going to have to be patient. The emotion around this, if we haven't scored early, or if it's only 1-0 with 70 minutes on the clock, that I think is going to be the biggest challenge for the crowd as well as the players, because this is the biggest game of the season. If we were to lose this, would it derail our Premier League form? Because psychologically it's hard to get over. So I think playing wise, yeah, I think we've got enough to turn them over. Control what we can control. Try and take the referee out of the equation. Don't let it come down to a decision that goes against you. Try and be a bit smarter with that. And if we control our emotions, we win the game.
As simple as that. And what's your prediction, Tabs, for the game? Oh God. Oh God. I've got my head in my hands right now. I don't know what to say.
um,
I'm sorry to all the listeners. For people who
no,
want dynamic and different episodes every single week, just listen to around 55 minutes every week because you'll just get the same
no, I
prediction
went
from
for
Tabs.
I
You
went
can
against my better judgment. I was like you, spineless jellyfish. I went for 4-0 against Brentford, and I was almost right with the 3-1. I I would suggest that. Yeah, I think 3-1 sounds about right. We go through 3-2. I think we'll need 3 goals to get through this and to be comfortable. It's whether Porto get that one goal. So go on, just to keep you happy, I'll say 3-0.
Okay, perfect.
There you
And
go.
then watch it end up being 3-1.
Yeah.
And then Søren, you get the final say in this
Yeah.
pod. So take it away, man.
I think, like you say, playing Brentford is a perfect preparation for this Porto game. I think, like I said earlier, we need to be prepared, and that's everyone, all the backroom staff, and the ball boys especially. And we need to have discipline straight away. So we know the likes of Pepe might have some tricks up his sleeve. We just can't get drawn into that. We need to be well aware of it. We need to be on them from the first minute, just like Newcastle, and the crowd will be there back in the team, just like Arteta called for in his post-match press the other day. And yeah, just preparing for knowing what they might do. So obviously they've got a high press. They're probably going to bomb forward. If they concede early, they're going to suddenly the game's going to open up massively. But I think it will win. Us at home, as long as the crowd's up for it, I don't see why we wouldn't win. But it's going to be a test, because I'm sure their away fans are probably going to be phenomenal with their flares and all sorts of things going on. But my prediction is 2-0. So 2-1 on aggregate.
Nervy ending.
Yeah. Well, I had similar to your prediction for Brentford, your original prediction. I think I don't think I actually called one out, but I was thinking it was going to be a low-scoring game. And I said, if Brentford have got a goal in them, especially set pieces, they've got great set pieces. So, I think again it's a low-block team. We've just got to see how it goes.
Annoyingly, I won't be able to watch the game. That's so. I
Yeah,
almost gave up
be
a work trip to the US to watch this game, but there we go.
that'll be
I'll be in a workshop with my boss, so I won't be able to even watch it. So I'll be having my phone positioned, watching the group chat go nuts, and that'll be about it.
or have like notifications on for the Arsenal app or something, which tells you a goal goes in like 20 minutes after it really does. Which is quite funny.
I better not be presenting and have it on the screen at the same time.
No. Well, all that's left for me to say then, Tabs, is have a very safe flight and enjoy your time away. We're going to miss you on the next episode. Hopefully, I don't think you're going to be on, are you? But
no chance. I might send through a voice note, but that'll be about it.
Please do, because the listeners will miss your voice. And Søren, thank you so much for joining us at this ungodly hour in the morning. I really appreciate. Well, it's not that ungodly for you guys, but for me, certainly it is. I really appreciate it, and I hope you're feeling better and on the road to recovery. And we'll see you at Aston Villa. And yeah, all that's left for me to say was thank you everyone for listening. I've had a blast. These are going really well, really fun. Thank you so much to all the Grove. And yeah, we're going to win the league. We might just do it. Come on, Liverpool! Come on, Man City! Let's hope for a huge result for us in terms of injuries and suspensions. That's all I'll say. And we'll see you guys back during the week for the post Porto podcast. All right, bye guys.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. See you soon.
Bye.